The governorship candidate of the Zenith Labour Party, Obiora Okonkwo, has said that anybody who plans to rig the forthcoming election in Anambra State will sleep throughout the duration of the exercise. Okonkwo, at a town hall meeting with the staff and students of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, told the Unizik community not to panic, as God will not allow anybody to shortchange the electorate. As Okonkwo continues his campaign across the state, he is confident that the polls will favor him come November the 6th. Now joining us to talk to us about his plans for Anambra and how he intends to make a difference if he emerges the next governor of the state is Obiora Okonkwo, governorship candidate of the Zenith Labour Party. Okonkwo is a successful businessman turned politician and a proud alumnus of the Imuahia apprenticeship scheme. Imuahia is the popular Igbo apprenticeship system and has been acknowledged as one of the largest venture capital schemes in the world, where teenage boys and young men learn the ropes of commerce from their masters and given seed capital to start their own business after years of dedicated service. Good morning, Mr. Okonkwo, and thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Hello, Ruben. Good morning, and the team.
Good morning.
It's my pleasure to be here with you today.
Well, let's start with part of the narrative. When you say that anybody who wants to disrupt the election will sleep throughout the election, what do you mean by that? Is that some kind of native wisdom or some kind of... well, this is international TV, but you know what I have in mind.
Well, thank you, Ruben. I never know you have such a reservoir of knowledge about our artifacts and where it has gone to. It amazed me what has happened with all those talents and all those great endowments. And now we're here talking about artifacts made like 100, 200 years ago. And what was going through my mind was what will be taught. The people after us next 100, 200 years should be talking about what we had bequeathed to our own country in terms of art and culture, because he surely died. May God help us. And I'm glad with the development. I never know Okoko is the same language in Benin, like in Igbo land, because we also call it Okoko. So, however, I said that because at the beginning of my own campaign, 2 years and 2.5 years ago, I had always insisted that it is only God who will make me the kind of governor I want to be, and that with him, everything is possible. And if he has said it should be me or somebody else, this time around, there is nothing anybody can do about it. All the godfathers in this world, both the ones internal and the ones external coming together, they cannot change any situation. You and I know that I've always won by rigging. So that was why I said this time around, if God says yes, no amount of rigging will succeed. All the applause to rig, they will just sleep on it until the election is over and the winner is announced. So I strongly believe in this, because with God, everything is possible. Yes.
Well, it certainly is. But why should the people of Anambra State vote for you?
Well, they vote for me because this is the first time a candidate like me, who is coming from a private sector experience, is actually vying for the office. A candidate who has no godfather, a candidate who is groomed and prepared for leadership. I actually will be the first person in Anambra politics aspiring to be governor if I become to have had a PhD in political science and also a master's degree in economy and then national economic resource management. So academically, I am prepared, and I've gone through all the things life has to offer. I have the best of the things of the world, and I have been exposed and with network And I'm the first person presenting to Anambrarians the first time a people-oriented manifesto made out of common sense and not typical rhetorics, because every item in the 10-point agenda we have is exactly what we are doing today, except that we're now looking for a bigger platform to do that with policies that will favor a whole lot more of people. And as you may know, I am probably the only candidate in this race who is not doing this for myself. The rest of the candidates from the so-called three major parties are just looking for jobs because they are jobless. I'm the only one who could campaign in the week and go for my management meeting on Monday and say, come back. And so this state is in such a terrible shape that it don't need for people who are looking for jobs, who have no current daily income to come in and oversee the affairs of the state. Because, yeah.
Okay, are you saying, heavyweights like the likes of Professor Soludo is looking for what to do? Are you saying Ifeanyi Ubah is looking for what to do? They don't have jobs. Are you saying the likes of, other top candidates, like, in the race, Maduka and some other candidates now, are you saying they are looking for jobs? These are heavyweights. These are people that are successful. Soludo was a former CBN governor, tested and trusted. Is that what you're saying? That's number one. And number two, how are you going to solve the gully erosion problem in your state?
Well, you see, that's the point I'm making. Former. Each and every one of them will tell you they were former. They are former. And I repeat that, if I get them before, not be property. So it will not help anybody at this stage now. I am aware that we have 255 erosion sites in Anambra State. It is unfortunate that we have not had enough attention to that. My research has shown that in the past, there have been a whole lot of resources allocated for these problems and their solution. But you see, people have found erosion projects, ecological projects as the easiest way to siphon and misuse funds. I have idea that even the last 2017 election, about 40 billion naira was released to Anambra State for erosion problem that was disappeared. At the time of P2B, so much amount of money we have, the facts was available for erosion problems, specific size projects, nothing came out of it. So we have noted all of those and we're going to tackle them squarely, because if we are voted as governor, we should declare emergency on our erosion and then flood disaster that is destroying some parts of Anambra State, except especially our agrarian areas in Anambra North, Anambra West, Anambra East, and all that. So we have a big plan for that.
Sir, you've not said what you're going to do. You just say you have a big plan. You're going to look at it in specific. What is the plan? What are you going to do to stop the erosion problem in the state?
I told you specifically, we have, out of our study, realized that you have 256 erosion sites. And this 256 erosion sites would have been corrected, but except that a lot of funds that were made available for that have not been used. So coming on board, we are going to declare emergency on erosion issues, ecological problems. As a matter of fact, I am from Ogidi in Anambra State. Ogidi is the capital of Idemili North. My hometown has one of the worst erosion situations. It's terrible. So the only solution to it is an emergency. Make sure that we liaise with the federal government, assess as much as possible ecological funds that we can get from the states because the provisions are made for it, and then put our own counterpart funding to be able to deal with this and award immediate contracts according to law and regulation. So our approach to it is special funding and then emergency on ecological problems, which we have in Anambra State.
Well, I-Chief Okonkwo, let me use your
yes, please.
the title by which you are better known. Now, I mean, I was in Anambra towards the end of September. to moderate the first major political debate among the gubernatorial candidates, organized by a group called Kwechiri Oganiru. I hope the pronunciation is correct. You know,
you got it right.
Yes, and I was surprised that you were not there. You didn't take the opportunity to be part of that platform where other candidates took part. So it's good to see you today, pushing your agenda publicly. Was there any special reason why previously you did not want to be part of that particular debate? And then going beyond that, you were originally in the People's Democratic Party. And it was just recently, I think in August, that you were chosen as a candidate for the Zenith Labour Party. Do you want to take us through this, your defection from the PDP to the ZLP? And is this all about, okay, I just want my name on the ballot. If I can't get it on a PDP ticket, I'll move to another party.
Yes, Ruben, thank you very much. I recall having a pre-debate discussions with you, and I was looking forward to being there. Actually got the name right, surprisingly, Kwechiri Oganiru. I was in a very close contact with the group and the organizers. I planned to be in that debate, but the same day I had about 4 events, and I told them that it could make it impossible for me to be there, but I would try. So I tried, and those early engagements were so important. They were direct group voters that I couldn't have disappointed. So it was really unfortunate I couldn't make it. But I'm looking forward to other debates that are lined up, and you know, I'm always available to take any opportunity to talk to people and let them know what we're up to. So I regretted that, not taking one of those chances. So coming back to my journey so far, I think that it's a fact that even as we speak today, I am the face of PDP in Anambra State. Nobody has done what I've done to PDP since 2015 when we lost the election in the center. Then everything about PDP collapsed in Anambra State. Because since you don't have a state leadership here like governor of Anambra State, the strength of PDP has always been drawn from Abuja in winning all the elections. So people saw it not lucrative. But I moved into PDP, picked up the pieces from the bottomless pit, cleaned it up to the day of that primaries, from 2015 to that 26th of November this year. I was the sponsor and financier of PDP in Anambra State, 95%. Nobody would take away that fact. And that made me really so popular within the PDP family, so much so that every shenanigans, every plot, and all the issues and propaganda that would have stopped me from picking the ticket was of no avail. So it was out of fear of me that that some people lobbied to move away from the statutory delegate voters for PDP and then chose what has never been known in the history of the party as super delegate. It's nowhere in the Constitution. So I still believe that that was a big mess and they will never succeed. PDP has no candidate because it's illegitimate and it's illegal, but that's by the way. So having gone through that primaries, the outcome obviously was obvious. I feel that in any way you looked at it, we had 80% victory to that primaries. However, because I wasn't desperate, I felt that there must be a reason why that happened. It is the will of God. I had to look up to God. I had a retreat, prayed, consulted, and then was inspired that, look, you are in a journey. You don't have to fall and lie down there. Wake up, clean yourself, and keep moving until you get to your destination. And that destination can only be achieved if I am on a ballot paper. There's no other way. And then I also made proper review of the journey so far. And I discovered really that we have the name Dikora is actually very popular people, I've been campaigning for 3 years now, and my message was clear, and people were still interested in having me on the ballot paper as an alternative to express themselves. And then looking at the 3 major political parties, there is a saying in Igbo language that you have a knife with the head. It has no head. The one that has head is not sharp, and the one that is sharp has no head. The 3 political parties in no way really don't have footing to stand, or the candidates, so they have one issue or the other. And then I moved into the race back again in the Zenith Labour Party. At first, it looked like it was just an impossible task. It's always difficult to start with a new party, in a major election like this. But I thank God for what we have done so far. Most people now are seeing it that actually may have been divine, because the Zenith Labour Party we're talking about is the last party on the ballot paper. It's easier to find. And from all the candidates available now, I've turned out to be the only sole candidate running for election in Anambra Central, which has the greatest number of registered voters. And I am coming out also from a federal constituency, Idemili, with my hometown as the capital. And that highest number of registered voters in Central is domiciled in my federal constituency, 30%. And I am the decoder of this federal constituency. And then again, I have a deputy coming from the north, who is the grandmother of politics in Anambra North, Jessie Bellon. She has won Senate elections, she has won House of Reps election, commission and board chairman. With all those things, she became actually the only deputy candidate from Anambra North. So with a combination of all those things, we see the work of God now, that what may look at the beginning in human eyes as a disadvantage has turned out to be a great advantage. So we are really working hard to ensure that our names are linked to our party. But if it comes to acceptability and then popularity, obviously we cannot be rated lower than anybody. It's just working hard to link them that, hey, this man, is still in the race. And then the new platform is the Labour Party, ZLP.
Right, but it's not all about popularity, is it? I mean, you referred to the other parties having their issues, so let's talk about yours. You've just talked about your deputy being from Anambra North, which is where the incumbent governor, Willie Obiano, is from. And before that, you had Peter Obi for 8 years from Anambra Central. So the perception is that it's time to go south. You are not from Anambra South. How do you intend to surmount that issue of zoning?
Well, that issue, if you've heard about zoning debate from the beginning of this election, they were just a clear strategy for some people who were scared and afraid of me to use it to knock me out of the race. There's nothing like that. We've never had zoning in Anambra State. You've talked about Peter running for having been governor for 8 years. Peter did not become governor on the first instance as on the basis of zoning. When he ran for the first tenure, Governor Mbadinju was the governor of Anambra State. He ran for second tenure. He lost, and then he won. Peter Obi became a governor from court case. He didn't just come from the ballot paper. And then on his second tenure, he ran against He ran against Andy Uba, who is currently the candidate Peter came for Andy Uba was governor in 2007. He ran alone, as always. But in 2010, when Peter Obi came for second tenure, he ran against Andy Uba. Andy Uba ran in Labour Party. He's from South. He ran against Soludo, who is currently the candidate of ABGA. Andy Uba is currently the candidate of APC. Soludo ran in PDP as a gubernatorial candidate. Then he ran against other candidates from the North, Mogalo, who ran for the primaries of APC and now is in court. He ran against Nicholas Okachukwu, who was a candidate of Hope Party. So at every election, people have run from all sorts of places. And even Obiano, that is said is coming from the North, in the Obiano's first tenure, he He ran against Ifeanyi Ubah, who was a strong candidate in Labour Party. Andy Ubah contested in PDP, lost the ticket to Tony Moyer. The same Moghalu ran in AMPP. And then Soludo, even who is currently the candidate of APGA, coming from South, ran against Obiano. In his first time, he bought the ticket, contested the primary and lost. It has never been the case. And I can tell you the state of Anambra today, if you love this state and you appreciate the in-depth problem we are facing, it should not be really a matter of who is going to be the governor and where it's coming from. It should be a matter of who is competent. Even if he's coming from Jesus College of London, let him come and fix Anambra State. Yesterday, I was out in Okpoko, in Obaru, local government area, commissioning a project. I was flagging off a road project. And right before us, a woman collapsed. At first, people thought it was convulsion, but there was no shaking about everything that was happening with her. On a closer approach, we found out that it was only hunger. She had a little baby behind her who could have been about 1 year old. She collapsed flat and I was about to give up her life. When we approached, rounded her up, it was hunger. When we brought food to her and water, she was so shaken that she couldn't even grab it. I had to help feed her. When she got a small breath of life, she told her story. The only thing she has had with her child the last 2 days was gari, with water. And she was just walking to the next place to buy 200 naira sachet water to hawk to see if she could make ends meet. That's the life we have. And many people may not understand it or may not believe until you go to Okpoko and look at the environment where millions of people are gathered. Our situation is so bad. It's not about roads anymore. Our economy is in shambles. There's no economy. Economy is dead. You see things, it is things just going so bad. So we need somebody to fix it. And it will only take intervention of God. And as the whole of Anambrarians are praying for God to give them that chosen leader, there must not be a caveat when you're asking God to send a savior. He wouldn't say, hey, God, in your own mercy and love for Anambra people, send us that leader who will liberate us from this situation. And let him come from Anambra South or North or Central. It doesn't really matter.
Chief Okonkwo, let's just quickly, yes, a lot has been said about the situation in your state. But let's talk about the issues. Cultism is a big problem in Anambra State. How do you intend to solve the problem of cultism?
Well, it looks so, but for me, it might interest you to know that I have been one way or the other involved in making sure with them the menace of cultism, starting from my hometown, which is really a metropolitan town. We have it under control. And in so many occasions, I have been working with even different security agencies from NDLOA to the DSS in Anambra State. We know what the problems are, and we've been working on it. So it shouldn't be an issue. What we have really here are young boys who for lack of control and coordination, have been able to grow some wings and they're overreacting. So we know their leaders. Look, when I become a governor, I continue to say it without any fear or any concern that I should be a governor for everybody, a governor for criminals, a governor for whoever you are. I will be able to reach you and engage. We will engage them. They have leaders. I remember one time in my hometown, Ogidi, the cultism became so bad that they were killing themselves, and then the police, there was a big manhunt for them by the police, and some of these young guys left the town.
Chief Okonkwo.
Yes.
Yeah, we have just about 2 minutes left. Are you concerned that voters may not come out, considering the security situation in Anambra and all this talk about voter apathy?
I have a very big concern, but I was trying to let you know that I was one who intervened in Ogidi. The baddest of those guys had confidence and trust in me. I talked to them when we settled it. But, coming back to the voter apathy, it has been a big concern in Anambra State. We have about 2.5 million registered voters. We've never had recently more than 500,000 votes out of that 2.5. So with even this security situation and uncertainties, we expect to see more of that. So I am a little bit concerned. But you see, there's a whole lot of effort. I'm in touch and discussing with some other security agencies and even INEC in some relationship. And I say, look, you must have to embark on public enlightenment. You must have to let people know, not by talking, that it's just okay to come when somebody say don't come. And the good enough also is that my hope is that on a typical election day, there is already even a major sit at home. You know, whether there is order coming from any other place, from the eve of Friday to 6 o'clock on Saturday, every election day, there is a sit at home order. Nobody moves, no movement. So we expect that people, even if that coming Saturday, good enough that also INEC has increased number of polling booths, and it could have been closer to people. So most of these concerns are really seen on major roads. So as long as people just have to walk from their neighborhood to the polling booth, vote and go, I think that might make it work. But it's important in Anambra that no matter what the concern is, we need to get over with this election and then see what the outcome will be.
Well, thank you very much, Chief Okonkwo. We wish you all the best. There will be there are other things to talk about. You are chairman of United Nigeria Airlines. We will have loved to also discuss aviation with you, but that's not the main topic before us.
I'll be back. And the president of Nigeria Russia Chamber of Commerce with the direct Russian investment of 10 billion. Don't forget that.
Yeah, but that's not the topic for today. So we wish you well with Anambra election, and we want to thank you also for your commentary on Okuko. Quite ironic, isn't it, that the Okuko that is being returned, which is an ancestral religious symbol, was housed in Jesus College for so many years.
Yes, and that's probably why he's supposed to come. Yes. Jesus is wonderful.
Thank you very much.
But I have a great plan for culture and a museum. We'll have a time to talk about it next time.
Thank you very much.
Because we're going to build Heroes Museum. We're going to, if they can't keep it, when I'm the governor, please, Abati, tell them to bring it to Anambra. I will give it the best of the budget and the best of the condition.
Maybe you establish a Jesus College in Anambra.
Don't mind.
Thank you very much.
Anything Jesus excites me, so I will do that with all my hands. Thank you.